I feel so good as a project manager. Hi everyone, I'm Kayla, and welcome to my channel where we talk all about project management in lean teams and startup organizations. So first off, I want to say thank you. Thank you to my subscribers who have patiently waited as I've taken my time putting together some new content for you. And second, thank you to anyone who is new and joining for the first time. Please like and subscribe. Let me know your comments, what you're interested in. I'm very passionate about this niche area of project management with lean teams and startup organizations. And my goal here is to help spread information that I've learned over the years and help others as they are getting into this career path. So let me know what would be helpful for you. Okay, on to today's topic. Today we are going to talk about meetings. And I know that may not be the most exciting of topics, but it is something that I believe we really need to learn and hone our skills in terms of meeting facilitation. As project managers, we're going to be in a lot of meetings. That's just part of the nature of it. So we need to understand how we can hold meetings the most effectively. Now, when I was early on in my career, I was intimidated by meetings. I got anxiety from meetings, and not just from the meeting facilitation part of it. I didn't even really know how to facilitate a meeting, but I also got anxiety from being in meetings or being invited to meetings. And I realize now that was because it was so unclear as to what the purpose of the meeting was and what the expectation or the outcome of the meeting was supposed to be. So as I've advanced in my career, I've been a part of a lot of meetings. I've seen some great meeting facilitators and some that aren't so great. And I really learned, okay, what makes a meeting more successful than other meetings? So I've taken those learnings and created 4 points that I want to share with you guys today. I'm inspired by a book I'm reading. It's called The Art of Gathering, and I'll link it up at the bottom here. This book is about gathering, not in terms of just meetings for work purposes, but meeting or gathering for any purpose in your life. So it could be like a birthday party, it could be going to court, it could be anything. Like, we have a lot of reasons for gathering and meeting. The purpose of the book is to really help us understand, okay, how can we make the most out of our meetings and gathering? Okay, so let's get started. So point number 1, and this is something I coach any new team, new project manager that I'm working with, is anytime we have a meeting, we need to have an agenda. And our agenda can be more or less robust depending on what this meeting is about. Like, if it's a daily stand-up, then obviously we don't need to be sending out a huge agenda every day for daily stand-up, but we do need to have an agenda, right? Like, we need to have an understanding of what's going to happen. And we need to communicate that out to the people who are going to attend. Now, along with this is actually the first point in the book, The Art of Gathering, and it's super basic, but it was one of those things where I was like, aha moment for me, but we need to always establish a purpose for our meetings or our gatherings. And the purpose is not always that like easy thing to pick off. The purpose is usually something deeper. So the way that you get to the purpose is by asking why. Remember the 5 whys that I talked about in an earlier video? We need to do that with our meetings and our gatherings too. Asking ourselves why to really get to the bottom of what is the purpose of this meeting will help us determine not only our agenda, but all the other pieces that go along with the meeting. So that purpose is really the first key piece, even before the agenda. And sometimes you may come to find that the meeting isn't even necessary. There isn't really a purpose that goes along with it. Okay, the second thing is establishing our participant list. This may sound really simple. There's a couple things at play here. Not only who is going to attend the meeting, but how many people are going to join. There were some points in the book around, okay, number of people is actually very important. For example, if we want to have a meeting that's more intimate, that is something where we all want to share, where we want everyone to kind of like feel safe, a maximum of 6 people is kind of like that threshold for creating that feeling. When you go beyond 6, it's just too many people. Like you get too many opinions, you get too many conflicting personality types. So if you're looking to create a more intimate setting, try not to go beyond 6. Now, having that said, having more people does create a little more dissension. It does add a different dynamic. It allows you to have some interesting opinions, some different opinions. So if you're looking to have a meeting where it's more of like idea generation and bouncing ideas off of people, up to 12 people is more ideal. Now it's going to be a little more difficult to wrangle the meeting and keep that on track, but up to 12 is kind of like the ideal there. Another point is if the purpose of your meeting is to make decisions, then you'll want to be really careful about who you invite. We don't want to have too many people, because too many cooks in the kitchen is just not helpful when you're trying to make decisions. You'll want to have those data gathering meetings before you have that decision making meeting, if it is a bigger decision. But also, it could be a good strategy to have an odd number of people in the meeting. That way you know that there will be a decision made, because it's going to have to lean in one way or the other. Now, my third tip is to keep it moving. Now, I have a little trick that I use to keep my meetings moving. So when I create an agenda for my meeting, I create like a secret agenda that I don't send out to anyone. And within that secret agenda, I basically time box every single item on that agenda. And I go as granular as like knowing that I'm going to have give or take a couple minutes when I have a meeting with several people. There's probably going to be some latecomers. And I'll also add time in there for a little bit of chit chat, right, at the beginning of the meeting. And you'll want to add some time in between all of the sections. So I make sure that I have everything time boxed, and as I'm holding that meeting, I can see if I'm going over on any one of those sections, and if so, then I know we need to wrap it up. I need to wrap up the conversation about whatever it is, take it offline, have another conversation later. It's your job as the meeting facilitator to keep track of the time like that, and don't be afraid to say, okay guys, we need to move on past this. And then the fourth item is follow-ups, takeaways, action items, whatever you want to say. Keep track of those as the meeting is occurring. Have a notepad, take notes. I take notes in all of my meetings. It's just how I remember things. But specifically, if you're not a note taker kind of a person, at least keep track of the items that you're touching on that are going to be like takeaway things. Because after that meeting is over, I always recommend sending a follow-up to people, whether it's in Slack or through email, about, okay, here's what the takeaways are, and here's what each person is responsible for. Like, here's what we decided in the meeting. That way we know what happened in the meeting. We're reminded of it. We understand the outcome. We know that it was successful, right? Because we fulfilled our purpose, and that's always huge. It's exactly what we should be doing as a project manager. That is a good use of time. It's a good use of our people's time, right? When I hold meetings like this as a project manager, meetings where I really critically thought about what is my purpose of the meeting, have I developed an agenda and communicated that out to the appropriate people? Have I made good use of people's time and kept that meeting going? And have I recorded good notes and kept track of what needs to happen after the meeting? I feel very successful as a project manager, because that's exactly what we should be doing. Let me know what's been helpful for you. What's helped you create better meeting moments for your people. I would love to hear. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.